In a world that's increasingly bizarre, one question remains. What's really going on? Join us on The Daily Absurd as we delve into the strange corners of reality, exploring the stories that make you scratch your head and say, is this real life?
All right, so today we are going deep on mail carriers.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah, we've got some government data, a little history, some trivia, the usual.
Okay, so what's the mission today? What are we hoping to learn about all this?
Well, by the end, you'll be able to wow your friends with your postal knowledge. But more importantly, you'll have, I think, a new appreciation for the folks who deliver your mail.
Yeah, it's easy to take them for granted.
It really is, right? Okay, so first up, some numbers that really blew my mind when I saw them. Over 300,000 mail carriers in the U.S.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot of people. And, it represents just a massive logistical operation that's happening every single day.
Yeah, and it's not just a mailman's world anymore, which I thought was interesting. The data actually shows us the gender breakdown, and there are a lot of women delivering mail these days.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, right? The world's changing. And it's great to see that reflected in the Postal Service, too.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of changing, let's take a quick trip through postal history. We've all heard of the Pony Express, right? Braving the Wild West. Neither rain, nor snow, nor death of night can keep us from our duty. What an amazing motto.
That's a classic. And it speaks to this dedication that I think runs through the entire history of the Postal Service.
Totally. And speaking of postal history, can we talk about Benjamin Franklin for a minute?
Oh, absolutely. He was so much more than just a founding father, right? I mean, he was the very first Postmaster General of the United States.
Yeah, he totally laid the groundwork for the entire system we have today. Under his leadership, postal routes expanded, delivery times got faster, and even he made the service more financially stable.
It's wild to think about, the lasting impact he had, his vision,
It's pretty incredible, and that legacy continues. Think about postage stamps, free city delivery, rural delivery. These were all game changers. Oh, and of course the ZIP code. I mean, it revolutionized mail sorting, right?
Oh, for sure. It's so interesting to see how the Postal Service has always adapted to the needs of a changing nation.
Mm-hmm.
And, even with the rise of email and social media, it still plays such a crucial role in our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not just about envelopes and packages. I mean, the census data really showed me the sheer variety of roles within the Postal Service.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, you've got clerks, sorters, processors, mail handlers, the people who actually load and unload the trucks, and even processing machine operators. It's a whole team effort.
It really is. It's easy to forget about all the work that happens before a letter even gets to your mailbox.
Yeah. I mean, each role has its own special skills, and everyone's got to work together to make the whole thing run smoothly. It's like a well-oiled machine.
Totally. I mean, the coordination is really remarkable when you think about how much mail they handle every single day.
And you know what? It all boils down to this. February 4th is National Thank a Mail Carrier Day.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a great reminder to take a moment to appreciate these folks who work so hard. A simple thank you can really make a difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Those little gestures of kindness that matter.
Totally.
So are you ready to dig a little deeper into this postal history? I got some fun facts up my sleeve.
Oh, I am so ready. Hit me with your best shot.
All right, well, did you know that postage stamps weren't even invented until 1847? I mean, before that, people had to pay for postage in cash.
Whoa, really? So how did they even figure out how much to charge?
It was based on the distance the letter had to travel. Can you imagine that?
Oh, that sounds complicated.
Yeah, it was a whole thing. And it also meant that sending mail was pretty expensive, so not everyone could afford it,
Wow. So the postage stamp really did change everything.
It did. It made sending mail way more accessible, more affordable, and it standardized the whole system.
I bet that was a huge relief for everyone. I mean, and speaking of accessibility, free city delivery in 1863 and then free rural delivery in 1896, those were game changers.
Huge. I mean, it wasn't just about convenience, right? It was about connecting people, fostering communication, promoting commerce across the entire country. It was a way to bring people closer.
And that sense of connection is something we still really value today, even in our digital world.
Definitely. We're all part of something bigger,
For sure. And the Postal Service is a big part of that.
It really is. Okay, ready for another fun fact?
Oh, yeah?
The Pony Express, well, it wasn't actually that successful.
What? I always thought it was like this legendary, long-lasting thing.
It was super iconic, don't get me wrong. But it only lasted for about 18 months.
Wow. So what happened?
The telegraph came along. And, well, it could transmit messages way faster.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But even though it was short-lived, the Pony Express captured people's imaginations. And it's still a symbol of speed, determination, and the importance of communication.
Yeah, it's a powerful image. You know, speaking of the Pony Express, there's that famous motto everyone always associates with them.
Oh, yeah. The neither snow nor rain, nor heat nor gloom of night one. Yeah, exactly. Well, you might be surprised to know that it wasn't actually the official motto of the Pony Express. That inscription is actually found on the James Farley Post Office building in New York City.
Wait, seriously?
Seriously, it's a common misconception. But even though it's not technically from the Pony Express, it perfectly captures the spirit of postal workers throughout history, right? That unwavering dedication to service, no matter what obstacles they face.
It's so true.
It's a legacy that continues to inspire today, I think. It reminds us that even in a world of instant communication, the human element of delivering mail, it still matters. It's about connecting people, bringing news, sometimes even a little bit of joy.
It makes you think about all the little ways mail carriers impact our lives, you know?
It does. And speaking of impact, we should probably talk about the role of mail carriers in popular culture.
Oh, yeah. They're everywhere. Movies, TV shows, songs, you name it.
For sure. Like, remember Cliff Clavin, the mailman from Cheers? He was such a classic TV character.
Oh, yeah, he was a total know-it-all, but so lovable.
And Mr. McFeely from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Speedy delivery. Always brought a smile to my face.
These characters, whether they're real or fictional, they all add to this image we have of mail carriers as trustworthy, reliable, and often a little bit quirky.
Yeah, they're part of our communities.
And that's why it's so important to show them our appreciation, especially on National Thank a Mail Carrier Day, which, by the way, is coming up on February 4th.
Mark your calendars, everyone. It's the perfect time to go that extra mile, you know? Maybe bake some cookies, write a little thank you note, or if it's snowy, you could even clear a path to your mailbox.
Yeah, it's all about acknowledging that there's a human being behind the uniform, a person who's out there braving the elements day after day to make sure we stay connected.
Absolutely. And sometimes those little acts of kindness can make a big difference in someone's day.
So true. So, to all the mail carriers out there, we see you, we appreciate you, and thank you for all that you do. Well, that was a lot of postal knowledge. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling a little inspired to go out and thank my mail carrier.
Me too. And you know what? As we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with a thought-provoking question.
Okay, I like it.
What role do you think the Postal Service will play in the future?
Ooh, good one. Will we still be sending letters and packages in a world that's dominated by digital communication?
Right. Or will mail carriers evolve into something totally different? It's definitely something to think about.
It is. But one thing's for sure, the spirit of service, dedication, and connection that the Postal Service embodies, that'll always be relevant.
I think you're right about that. Well, this has been a fun one. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into the world of mail carriers.
Anytime. And to everyone listening, the next time you see your mail carrier, take a moment to say, thank you. You might just make their day.
And who knows, maybe you'll learn something new about this fascinating world of mail delivery. Until next time.
See ya. It's really amazing when you think about all the different people involved in getting a letter from point A to point B.
Right. We talk about mail carriers, but the census data really highlighted all the other roles, too.
Yeah, like those clerks and sorters. But then there are also mail handlers, the people who actually load and unload all those trucks.
And let's not forget the processing machine operators. They're the ones who keep those automated sorting systems running smoothly.
It's true. I mean, each piece of mail passes through so many hands before it reaches its destination.
Absolutely. And it gets even more complex when you consider all the different types of mail they handle.
Like what?
Obviously, there are standard letters. But then you have parcels, priority mail, certified mail, international shipments, each with its own rules and procedures.
Wow. It's mind-boggling how they keep it all straight.
It really is a well-oiled machine. It makes you appreciate the whole system.
It does. You know, all this talk about history makes me want to dig even deeper. We've touched on the Pony Express and Benjamin Franklin, but did you know that the very first organized mail service in America was established way back in 1775?
By the Second Continental Congress, right?
That's right. It's amazing to think about how the Postal Service has been there through every major event in American history.
It's a constant thread connecting us through time. From the Revolutionary War to the Civil War to the digital age.
Imagine waiting weeks or even months for a letter to arrive. Makes you realize how much we take instant communication for granted.
Absolutely. Those letters were lifelines, carrying news from loved ones, stories from faraway places, even important business deals.
It's like social media, but in slow motion.
Huh. That's a good way to put it. But even today with all our emails and texts, there's still something special about receiving a handwritten letter.
Oh, absolutely. It's a tangible connection that digital communication just can't replicate.
And that's why I think the Postal Service will always have a place in our lives, even as technology continues to evolve.
I agree. But for now, let's get back to celebrating the amazing work that they do, especially with National Thank a Mail Carrier Day coming right up on February 4th.
It's the perfect time to express our gratitude. A simple thank you can mean the world.
It's about recognizing the hard work and dedication of these essential workers.
It's about seeing beyond the uniform and acknowledging the human being who's out there, rain or shine, making sure we stay connected.
Well said. And speaking of staying connected, how about we switch gears and dive into some of those fun facts and trivia you mentioned earlier?
Oh, I'm ready. I've got plenty more where those came from.
All right, hit me with your best shot.
Okay, so did you know that postage stamps weren't invented until 1847? Before that, people had to pay for postage in cash.
Really? I had no idea.
Yeah, and the cost was based on how far the letter had to travel.
Wow, that sounds like a logistical nightmare.
It was, and it also meant that sending mail was a lot more expensive back then.
So the postage stamp really was a game changer.
Absolutely. It made sending mail much more accessible and standardized the whole system. And speaking of accessibility, the introduction of free city delivery in 1863 and free rural delivery in 1896 were huge milestones.
It's true. Those innovations weren't just about convenience. They were about connecting people all across the country.
It was a way to bring communities closer together and foster a sense of unity. And, that's something we still value today, even in a world that's increasingly digital.
Definitely. It's a reminder that we're all part of a larger community.
Exactly. Okay, ready for another fun fact? This one's about the Pony Express.
Oh, yeah. I'm all ears.
You know how everyone thinks the Pony Express was this hugely successful operation? Well, it actually only lasted for about 18 months.
Wait, seriously, I always thought it was around for much longer.
Nope. It was quickly overtaken by the telegraph, which could transmit messages much faster.
That makes sense. But still, the Pony Express really captured the public imagination.
Oh, for sure. It's still a powerful symbol of speed, determination, and the importance of communication.
And that famous motto everyone associates with them, neither snow nor rain, nor heat nor gloom of night stays these couriers from the swift completion of their appointed rounds. It's so iconic.
It is. But here's a little trivia for you. That motto wasn't actually the official motto of the Pony Express.
What? Really?
Yeah, that inscription is actually found in the James Farley Post Office building in New York City.
Wow, I did not know that.
It's a common misconception. But, even though it wasn't officially associated with the Pony Express, it perfectly captures the spirit of postal workers throughout history.
It's true that unwavering dedication to service, no matter the obstacles, is really inspiring.
It is. And it reminds us that even in today's world of instant communication, the human element of delivering mail still matters. It's about connecting people, bringing news, and sometimes even a little bit of joy.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
It's funny how mail carriers have become such prominent figures in popular culture, too.
It's true, they're everywhere. Movies, TV shows, songs, even comic strips.
Like, who could forget Cliff Clavin, the mailman from Cheers?
Oh, he was a classic. A total know-it-all, but we loved him.
And then there's Mr. McFeely from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, always zipping around with his cheerful, speedy delivery.
It's amazing how these characters, both real and fictional, have shaped our perception of mail carriers. They're seen as trustworthy, reliable, and often a little bit quirky.
They're part of the fabric of our communities.
And that's why it's so important to show them our appreciation. A simple thank you goes a long way, especially on National Thank a Mail Carrier Day.
Absolutely. And it's a great opportunity to go a little further. Maybe bake some cookies, write a thank you note, or even clear a path to your mailbox if it's snowy.
It's those small gestures of kindness that really make a difference.
They remind our mail carriers that they're seen and appreciated, that their work matters.
It's about recognizing the human being behind the uniform, the person who's out there every day connecting us to the world.
Well said. And as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with a thought-provoking question. What role do you think the Postal Service will play in the future?
Will we still be sending letters and packages in a world that's increasingly dominated by digital communication?
It's a fascinating question. And it'll be interesting to see how the Postal Service adapts and evolves in the years to come.
One thing's for sure, though. The spirit of service, dedication, and connection that they embody will always be important.
Absolutely. So next time you see your mail carrier, take a moment to say thank you. You might just make their day. And who knows, you might even learn something new about this amazing world of mail delivery.
Thanks for listening, everyone, and a big shout out to all the hardworking mail carriers out there. It's funny, isn't it? When you say mail carrier, you get this picture in your head.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Like someone in a uniform delivering letters, maybe a package or two.
Right, the classic image.
But the thing is, the Postal Service and mail carriers, they've had this huge impact on our culture.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you see it everywhere.
It's true. Movies, TV shows, you name it. Mail carriers are like these iconic figures in our minds.
Think about Cliff Clavin from Cheers.
Oh, yeah, the know-it-all mailman.
Exactly. He was a total stereotype, but people loved him.
And then there's, Mr. McFeely from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Speedy delivery.
Always bringing good news.
It's like these characters, whether they're real or fictional, they've shaped how we see mail carriers.
Yeah, as trustworthy, reliable, even a little quirky sometimes.
Part of the community.
And that's why it's so important to show them some appreciation.
Especially with National Thank a Mail Carrier Day coming up.
It's true. February 4th, mark your calendars, everyone.
It's a chance to go a little beyond just a thank you,
Yeah, what do you suggest?
Bake some cookies, maybe? Or write a thank you note.
Those are good ideas.
Or if it's snowy, clear a path to your mailbox.
It's all about recognizing the person, behind the uniform.
It's the little things that can make a big difference.
Speaking of big things, we talked a lot about the history of the Postal Service.
Right, from the Pony Express to ZIP codes.
But what about the future? I mean, in this digital age, what happens to mail delivery?
It's a good question. Will we still be sending letters and packages? Will mail carriers, will their jobs change completely?
Who knows? It's something to think about.
It is. But one thing's for sure, that dedication to service, the connection the Postal Service brings, that'll always be important.
I think you're right. Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive.
It has. I've learned a lot.
Me too. And to everyone listening, next time you see your mail carrier, take a second to say thank you.
You might make their day.
And hey, you might even learn something interesting about the world of mail delivery.
Until next time.
See you later.
Thanks for listening to The Daily Absurd. If you enjoyed the ride, make sure to like, subscribe, and share the absurdity. See you next time.